Gemini 3 and specifically how it basically leapfrogged ChatGPT 5. And there's actually one very good reason for this, and that no one wants to talk about, or is talking about at least. And that is simply the hardware. And that's why I'm going to be saying to you guys about the GPUs versus the TPUs. This is the most important thing. And so let's just break it down. So most of ChatGPT and other LLMs have been running on the GPUs, right? And their purpose, a GPU, by the name, it's just general purpose parallel computing for graphics. So they're like a Swiss Army knives that is great at graphics, gaming, and AI. However, Gemini 3 runs on the tensor processing unit, which is basically something that is specialized specifically for machine learning and AI, right? So they use the Trillium and Ironwood chips, and these are built on an A6 architecture. Okay, I don't have that written here, but that's what you should know. These aren't Swiss Army knives as we described as the GPUs are, but they're more like laser scalpels designed specifically for matrix math. And they use a systolic array of architecture. Instead of moving data back and forth like a GPU does, data flows just into the chips like a conveyor belt, and that's the efficiency that is what's made Gemini's DeepThink so fast and even cheap to run. So one thing that you must focus on is simply the infrastructure. The infrastructure is the key thing here. And now we're already moving away from the GPU architecture and we're looking at TPUs, as Google has shown. Now Google, now they've owned the model, they own the architecture, they own the chips, they own the data centers, and they own the data. Now this is just something insane. This is kind of like saying, why is the iPhone, for example, on paper, it may not beat in terms of in the specifications when compared to one of the most powerful Android phones. However, its runtime is usually a lot better in most cases, and that is simply because they own, they own most of the hardware, Apple, and obviously they own the software, so it complements the device. Unlike Android, for example, is almost like a third-party OS owned by Google that runs on a Samsung phone, which is a different vendor. So this is very key. And I would just say one thing is that look at how Google are doing in quantum computing.